Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to replace a heater core in a C3. Now, in this particular car, the heater core has been bypassed, and so that tells me, hey, the original one that's in there is leaking. So, replacing the heater core is basically the same no matter which year C3 that you have. The only difference is going to be is that 78 to 82 is going to have a dash like this. It's a little bit more complicated to get to. And then 68 to 77 has a dash like this. Alright, if you look here on the engine, you can see that from the water pump to the intake, it's just one hose. So the way it's supposed to go is that a hose from the water pump is supposed to go to the heater core, fill up the heater core, and then come back to the intake. Alright, so step one is going to be taking out this AC vent, and also there's a duct. And that, whatever that is. Okay? So, normally, the way this works is slide it off the vent first, and it comes down. Really? Alright, so if you look at this duct, there's a tab here and there's supposed to be a tab here. Now these are usually attached to the dash on either side. Somebody just threw this up in there, so it was easy for me to get out. Just make sure you move those two screws. So that's out. And next, I got this duct. So that's step one. Alright, step two is you gotta take all of this fun stuff out. So first, you want to get a small screwdriver. You need to take out this insert for the glove box. Alright, I like to use a little stubby screwdriver. There's sometimes screws here on the bottom, or right here. Somebody just threw this together, so I didn't put very many screws in it. Alright, so that comes out in one piece. Alright, so what that does is that lets you see inside and see exactly what you need to get off. Alright, in order to get the glove box door out of the way, the fastest way to do it is you see these screws here. You don't take these out, but there's screws that are identical to this on the other side of the hinge. So they're back here and back here toward the lower part of the dash. So use a small socket or a wrench that you have that, I think they're quarter, to get those out. And so in order to get that big heater box out, it's much easier to do with the center console removed and with the shifter console removed. Alright, we have the duct piece out. I found the easiest way to do it after you get it disconnected from back here is to take your hand, make sure you don't break it, but hold your dash piece out. They are flexible. Hold it out like this, and then move the piece out and around that way. Once you get that piece out, you're able to access these remaining bolts on the back of this in order to get this out. So when you put it back together, remember, this goes in first, then the duct. Alright, so now we have clear access to our heater box. So before we take all the perimeter bolts out and remove it from the car, what we need to do is we need to disconnect this. This is a little vacuum and arm lever that changes your settings. So whenever you move your lever from hot to cold, that opens the blend door to change the amount of hot and cold that you get. Alright, one thing I really dislike about doing dash work is all the crap that I find. So, for example, stuff like this. This is just a wire twisted together and then wrapped up with tape. I mean, they didn't even do it right. So I'm going through all the wiring that I can see, at least, that they've messed with, and fixing it. Here's another great example. Awesome! You don't put wire nuts on cars. Sorry, guys. So that's the main power to this door over here. So that needs to be fixed as well. Alright, I went ahead and removed this piece. It's held up in the dash like this by one screw on this ear and one screw on that ear. So there's this one, and this one have to come out. Alright, after you have the top clear, you need to remove, I believe there's another 10mm bolts. There's another back in there. There's a fourth. Back in there. There it is. So I use a wrench with a really long extension. That's what I use to get those out. Alright, I finally got the box out of the dash. It took a long time. So you can kind of see how this works. This is your blend door. So what that does is as it opens, like this is your heat all the way hot, and this is all the way cold, and so as you get hotter, the more it opens. And so the way you get your heater core out is you have a bolt, a little screw here, you have one here, you have one here, and that takes this plate off of there. With that plate off, you can see the actual heater core itself. Now, in order to get it out, you need to kind of take apart this box. So if you look at it, there's along this edge, you can see where it comes apart. So there's bolts all the way down the edge. All that, and it needs to come apart so that way we can get the box apart. Alright, once you separate the two halves, you can see the heater core. So there it is. There's a lot of nasty stuff in there we need to clean out, but you know, looking at it, doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to. But because of that, there's no way you could use it even if you wanted to. So, and you look right here. Looks like it might have been leaking from there along the top. That's a normal place where these things leak, is right where the tubes go in. So, alright, let's get out the new one, throw it on. Alright, here's the new one. So, you can tell it's just a little bit different. I think it actually will work a little bit better. You can see how this one's made of aluminum, this one's not. This one has tiny little flutes in it. This one's a little bigger, so I think this aluminum is going to be a better one. So the way to get this out is you take these bolts out. These clamps, there's two on that side as well. Clamps come up, and then you install a new one. Here's the heater core back inside the box, ready to go. New one. Looks really good. Now, one thing you can do before you throw this back in, I'm not going to do it because I don't have the parts, is see these rubber seals on this door? This one's not in too terrible of shape. Look at this one. So you can see that gap. You can see where the seal is cracked and fallen away. You can check these seals and you can seal these up. That'll make your AC and heat system work just a little bit more efficiently. Also, this actuator, I mean this whole door right here is controlled by vacuum. Okay, vacuum that runs from your switch inside your shifter console. Now, you can test this by holding it closed, and if you don't hear that sound, that means it still has a good diaphragm. That one's still good. There's another one in the car that you can test while you have the dash out. Also, make sure you remember to plug that back in when you put it in. So now let's go ahead and throw it back in. Alright, one thing that I did discover is that you don't actually have to remove this bracket when you take this piece out. All you have to do is unplug that switch. So I'll show you here in a second inside the car. the switch, or the vacuum lines that go to that switch. Now, the only other part that connects to this is that physical line that then attaches to that lever right there that opens and closes the heat door. So yeah, that'll save you some time. Don't bother taking this whole bracket off. Just unplug the switch and the cable and you're good to go. This back here is the vacuum tubes that go to that little switch. So you just unplug them like that and you remove this cable, and that's one less thing you got to worry about.